Hello, my name is Light It Up, and I am back with another video. Um, Today I'm going to do a movie review on a movie I haven't seen in a while. It's probably been maybe like 10 years, 12 at the most, maybe. No, well, maybe like a decade. I didn't see it since like 2010 or 11 or 12. I had it on DVD one time and I watched it and stuff, and it was a really good movie. I'm going to talk about a movie called Sorority Row, 2009 or 10 or 8, whenever it came out. But it stars Brianna Evigan, the girl from Step Up to the Streets. I have seen it a few times in the past, but I haven't seen it in a long while, and so I watched it last night, and I honestly did not realize how dark it was. Like it was actually a really dark role and a dark movie too. I mean, yeah, it's a slasher film, but I mean, like it was still kind of dark a little bit. So basically, if you guys don't know Sorority Row, which I'm sure most of you do, but for those of you who probably don't, Sorority Row is basically a slasher horror film, and it's about these sorority girls. They do this prank on somebody and they accidentally kill one of their best friends, and then like 8 months later there's this new killer or whatever, and and basically the killer is just killing off all of the characters for something that they did you know but it was wow. I'll actually admit I was actually really shocked on like some of the death scenes that they had, and I was actually really impressive with like the writing and the characters and the story wise. And if you kind of think of it, it kind of took place all in like maybe one day. Like the introduction or whatever that plays in the movie is like one night when they're at a party, and it actually opens in this beautiful 4 minute and 12 second long take shot, which is phenomenal. Like I didn't even notice how when they opened the film or whatever, and then the camera just goes around the house. I didn't even know that it was a straight up one long take. I did not know that. That was really impressive, especially in a horror slasher film. That was really impressive. That was really cool. I actually did not notice that when I watched it back in the past, back in like the 2000 teens and stuff. But and then let's see, and then they watch this video or whatever, and then they try and do this prank or whatever about Megan or whatever, saying that she died and stuff, and she was just faking her death, like acting like she was dead when she really wasn't, trying to pull a prank. Take her to this place or whatever, something like that, out in the middle of nowhere with no reception and stuff. And well, um, she basically ends up dead, and it's actually really brutal. I'll admit it is. It's really brutal how she died. And then they dump it down a mine shaft, and then it cuts to black, and then like they basically say that they want to try and keep it a secret, but honestly, I guess when they try to keep it a secret, it comes back to haunt them. And then that's the end of the introduction. And then we get to 8 months later, which starts the story. So they're celebrating for like graduation or something like that. And and then they think they see Megan, and it turns out it's Maggie, Megan's sister. She wants to try to apply for next year. And then they're basically just getting ready for the party and all that. Well, on one of the on the shower scenes or whatever, one of the girls, the first one that I believe I know of, the first victim, she gets killed. Well, the second victim gets killed, in the shower with a tire iron like that. That was really crazy. But the first one is actually really dark. So I'm actually just gonna explain it. But so this girl named Chugs, one of the sorority girls, one of the friends, she goes to see her therapist or whoever it was, and so she's basically trying to earn or whatever to get some pills or something like that from a therapist. And so as she's getting ready or whatever, her therapist gets out of the handcuffs where he's like handcuffed to bed, kind of like Stephen King's Gerald's Game. He gets the keys, he gets his hand free, and this anonymously killer throws the tire iron at this dude's forehead, literally kills him immediately. And then she's basically walking around trying to look for him, can't find him. She lays down. She's got a, vodka bottle or whatever in her mouth, drinking it or whatever in her mouth. And then the killer, anonymously killer or whatever, literally does that with the bottle, puts it down the throat, and then does it again, which can't even get it out, and then it's really gross. And then puts the tire iron through the bottle on the bottom of the bottle and goes through her mouth. And that was like really, like, I'll actually admit I was kind of like I was really out I was really shocked on that. I literally did not know how dark that movie was. That death was. Some of the deaths were dark. And then they had one where they were thing was like during the party or whatever. Ellie's down in the basement. She hears something. Turns out Matt's trying to help her. She walks away, and then Jamie Chung, the girl from The Hangover Part Two, as what's his name? Phil's wife in the second one. Um, she breaks up with boyfriend Mickey or whatever, and then he goes down in the basement, hears something, and then he gets stabbed in the leg, and his leg is like really messed up. And then he goes down. He gets into this like what's it called, dumb waiter or something like that. I think maybe. Anyway, he goes in there and he's like upside down, like the upper half is like facing down, and his feet are like in the air. The dude, the anonymously killer throws tire iron, misses him, and then it like does a little twist, and then it like does that, and then it like I don't know if it got him in the heart or the throat or whatever, but the blood was basically like pouring up as like going down, from his eyes, like from my hair, and just goes down his head and stuff. And it was really weird. It was crazy too. It was dark. And then everybody left and stuff. But first they had to go check to see if Megan was still alive, because throughout the movie, Ellie and all the other girls believed that Megan was still alive and all that stuff or whatever. And then Garrett, the one who killed Megan, Chugs' brother, accidental. He didn't mean to. He thought she was dead, and he was trying to make sure, and he accidentally killed her in the beginning scene or whatever. And then and then the girls think that Garrett's, the killer and stuff, but he was like holding a jacket or whatever when they went back to the place 8 months later, down the mine shaft and stuff. And he was holding a little blade or mirror or whatever it was. And he's like, you did this, you effing did this. And then Jessica ran him over and killed him, literally. And then he cut his own wrist, what it reveals. And it was a piece of a mirror or something like that. They go down the mine shaft. The blanket's there, but not Megan. So now they're like, wait, what? You know? And then Brianna Evigan, I think her, uh, I forgot her name, but the actress Brianna Evigan, she's like, I see the blanket, but I don't see Megan. And then she like has the phone with the light or whatever on her hand or whatever in her hand, and she sees the blood written on the wall. Theta Pi must die. So they return back to the party. Everybody done left, went to an after party or whatever, somewhere else. And now here comes the crazy part. The jacuzzi's over flooded. Jamie Chung's character goes with the flare gun, tries to, work on the jacuzzi or whatever to, get it stopping because it overflowed. And well, she gets wrapped around in a wire and she gets killed by the flare gun in her mouth. The flare is literally in her mouth. And so they lock the doors and stuff. And we have a surprise small role in the movie. I'm not saying that she only played in the ending. She played in the beginning. She played one scene or whatever after the girls graduated, and then she comes back at the end. You know, with a shotgun. Carrie Fisher, Leia from Star Wars, she plays in the role. She plays in the movie a little bit. She plays in the movie a little bit. You know, and so she comes back or whatever, and she's like, I thought I warned you. And Jessica's like, oh, we didn't mean to kill Megan. And she's like, what are you talking about? I meant about trashing the house, you know. And that was after she hit Jessica with the shotgun, like bam, like boom, and she's like, lie to me again, pointing the gun at Jessica. Like, what? It was crazy. and, and then so she's like, go hide or whatever and call the cops. Then she goes after the killer with the shotgun. She misses about probably 4 or 5 shots. And then she reloads. And to be honest, it sucks that she dies in the movie because she's dead in real life. But another memory of Carrie Fisher, R.I.P. But she dies. She dies in the movie. And then turns out, I think one of the killers, well, yeah, one of the killers was somebody's boyfriend. And then he gets killed by an axe in the back of the head. And then another killer, I'm sure it's probably the main killer though, is revealed or whatever. And it was another girl's boyfriend. And so he basically kills Jessica with a tire iron through her mouth. Literally, like just throws it and it goes straight through her mouth, like right on the wall. Like it's crazy. And so he wants to basically just kill Ellie and just be done with it because for some random reason or whatever. And then so Sabrina Evigan's character basically uses the character or whatever, the killer or whatever who's revealed to save Ellie. They end up saving Ellie and Maggie, Megan's sister. They burn down the house or whatever. They burn down the house and they escape, and the killer dies. And then they walk away when the fire department shows up. And then it's like 15 months later, you see Maggie at the Theta Pi house or whatever and stuff, like over a year later. And you see a guy with a scar on his arm carrying a trowel or a knife or whatever. And I believe that's Garrett, going after Maggie or whatever. And then the film ends, and that's basically the whole movie. It was actually really good, but I honestly did not know how dark it really was because some of the deaths, I was, I was like, I mean, the whole movie I was like shocked on, but some of the deaths, even though it was like really creatively, I was like, wow, like that was like some of the deaths in the movies were kind of like brutal and a little bit disturbing and kind of impressive a little bit. I mean, it's a movie, because I mean, like in other horror movies, they basically do way worse than what Sorority Row did. They do way worse. They show a whole bunch of stuff. This was just basically a slasher film. Kind of like Scream and Halloween and Friday the 13th and Freddy vs. Jason and all the other slasher movies they made. Valentine back in 2001 and stuff. with Denise Richards and or whatever. But yeah, this movie was really good, and I'll admit it did have a little teeny tiny few jokes in there. I will admit it did have a few teeny tiny jokes, but it's mainly a slasher film, so it's not going to be full comedy. It's like straight slasher horror film. That's basically what it was. But that movie was really good, even though it's like probably it either came out in 2008 or 9. I really don't know what year it came out. I honestly don't know. But I do know that even though it's many years later, possibly we'll get a sequel. I doubt it, but then again, we might. I don't know. If we do get a sequel, even though it's many years later now, it's probably going to be something else. Something totally different that they're just going to recreate. It's actually a really good slasher movie to watch, and it was actually really dark too, on the other hand, as well. It was both. It was good and dark at the same time. It was definitely Brianna Evigan's dark side role. And what I mean by dark side role, I mean like basically some actors will basically be in a role that's like really impressive and that's like really good out of the whole careers. Well, not the whole careers, but like basically bring out the dark side of their characters, like bring out the dark side of the acting, like impressive job, really good writing, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like really cool, and they'll bring out their acting experience, like really bring it out. Like Paul Walker on Running Scared. Um, what else? Sorority Road, Brianna Evigan, Reese Witherspoon on I guess I would have to say probably Freeway back in the 90s. That was her dark side role. Robert Pattinson, I would probably have to say his dark side role was probably either, even though it's kind of like a love story, I would say either well, I was going to say Remember Me, but honestly, I think High Life was his dark side role. Kind of like The Witch with Anya Taylor Joy. That was her dark side role. And then Split with James McAvoy. That was his dark side role. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So some of the actors will have really cool roles, even if it's just in slasher films and stuff. And they will actually like, even if it's not in slasher films, it could be in action, it could be in comedy, it could be in drama, it could be in whatever, and they could bring out the dark side. You know, and then like Go Interrupted. I mean, that's not basically like a dark side role, but that's kind of like a role that would basically bring out the character, especially with Angelina Jolie that she did, especially since she won an Oscar. Like Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. He played Joker in 2019 and got an Oscar for it in 2020. Same thing with Heath Ledger. He played Joker back in 2009 on The Dark Knight and got an Oscar for it in 2010 after he died. You know? So, like, some of these roles are good, but some of them are really good to where they bring out the dark side and it just brings out their acting experience to a whole new level. Some people might not know what I'm talking about, but that's basically what I basically call it. It's their dark side role. Think of this. Think of Sicario, the first one with Emily Blunt. That was kind of actually really that was mainly Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin's dark side. Emily Blunt's dark side would have to be A Quiet Place Part One and Part Two. That was both of them. That was her dark side role. Kind of like Killian Murphy and Sunshine, Danny Boyle and 28 Days. That's both their dark side roles. The same time, you know, 28 Days later, and then Sunshine, like many years later, from 2002 to 2007, 5 years later, both have dark side roles. You know what I mean? You know, so it's really cool to have them doing roles like that. Some people's like, like, oh, that's not probably a dark side role. I call it a dark side role. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just what I call it, and I think it's really cool. You know, but yeah. But if we do get a sequel of Sorority Row, I don't know how the story would be. Honestly, even though that we didn't, I mean, I guess I could say we could get a possibly sequel, but if not, then that would be just the end of it. I mean, that would basically complete the story, even though it was only an hour and 40 minutes, you know? But then again, with all these sequels and remakes that's been coming out for many years, like we got Maverick that came out in the 1980s. We got Maverick, Top Gun. We got Top Gun that came out in the 1980s. We got Top Gun 2 Maverick coming out like this year or next year, you know. Then we got I Am Legend 2 that's been confirmed, you know, with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. I'm sure a lot of people already don't know that because that's like a week now, you know, a few days now. But I Am Legend 2 is coming out from 2007. Um, Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5. Um, you know, just like a lot of basically like sequels from the original versions, you know, like Halloween, 2018 is a semi sequel to the first one and is a complete remake of the original. And basically, Halloween Kills and Ends is a sequel to basically everything, you know, brings all the characters back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a Halloween reunion, which is pretty cool. You know, but anyway, if we do get a sequel, I'm kind of curious to see how we're gonna be on the sequel. That's only if it comes out. But if it doesn't, it's just fine in one movie. They better not remake it. They don't have to make a sequel if they don't want to, or which they obviously haven't anyway. You know, because in fact, it's what 14 years later, 13, whenever the movie came out, 8 or 9, 2008 or 9. But yeah, the movie was really good. I do recommend watching it. And it was an awesome, good, watchable slasher film. I wouldn't say it's up there with like Halloween and stuff, you know, and like The Exorcist and The Omen and Rosemary's Baby and Black Christmas and Suspiria, the originals and all that. It's not up there, but it's all right. It's basically just like an okay watchable horror slasher film. That's basically what it is. It's an okay slasher horror film, but it's still a cool movie to watch. It's just watchable, but it's still cool to just watch a little bit. It's still cool. Still dark. All right, that was my movie review for Sorority Row, 2008 or 9, whenever it came out. I don't know. And I will see y'all soon. Peace.